Hi, Sherry.
Good morning. How are you, Christine?
Good. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Is it nice where you are? You're down south a little bit of me, right? I'm in Cottage Grove.
No, I think I'm north of you. We're off of Briggs Hill and Spencer Creek in Eugene.
Oh, right. I'm mixing you up with somebody from Roseburg.
Yeah, no, we're in the Eugene area,
And you belong to which club?
the Eugene Delta.
Oh, okay. So you guys have had a meeting at the mission, right?
Yes, we met outside in the old Forest Service truck bay.
We're gonna go check that out this afternoon as a potential meeting place
Oh,
too
good for
for
you.
Southtown.
Good.
Hi, Joe.
They're
Hi,
very,
Jim.
very nice and very, they're just very accommodating.
Yes, well, I think like you in with the graduate, our options with our old venue are sort of getting priced out of reason.
Yep.
So, we have to turn over some new ideas and
Yep.
I think that's just the way it's going to be. And you know what? A lot of, I used to fear the possibility of changing a location until Bill Greil told me one time about the Coos Bay Club, and they were meeting wherever they were meeting, I forget, and they changed to meet at the casino, and it was a big controversy. Should they meet there? Yeah. Their attendance went up when they changed their venue.
Well,
And
you just never know.
yeah, so I mean, sometimes we fear the unknown, and it's not that scary after all.
Yeah, I look at it as an opportunity.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. So I'm fingers crossed for you and checking out the mission.
Yeah, well, Beth's so great to work with, and her, the food service, I mean, just the whole thing. And do you know that they are putting in systems for hybrid
Yes.
meetings, and that's something that, doesn't necessarily exist elsewhere, so.
No. So yeah, so we're like I said, I look at it as an opportunity and we'll just see what happens.
Are you looking at other opportunities?
Well, we've had other places in mind, but the only problem is we're faced with the same problem with the cost, and we just can't ask our members to do that. So
Yeah.
we may stay with the mission.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are things north and south?
It's supposed to get hot down here today. Finally quit raining.
I know. I was like, man, I moved to the valley to get out of the rain from the coast, and so I'm ready.
You went to the wrong valley.
Huh?
You moved to the wrong valley.
I know. How about you, Joe? How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm ready to get out there during a little break in the rain and do a little repair on the underground sprinklers. I think some warm weather and sunny weather is coming back here before long.
And you're going to need those sprinklers, right?
Oh yeah.
Bev Walker just joined us. Welcome. Let's see. I'm trying diligently to remember to admit people. I've been bad about that in the past.
Quick question for you.
Okay.
Christine, who gets the who receives the notices for the membership committee meetings?
Okay, send them to the club president-elect, and membership chair as they are recorded in DAC-DB.
Okay.
So if they're not correct in DAC-DB, then they don't get them.
Okay.
And then I usually try to send them to the assistant governors. I definitely send them to the district leadership team.
Yeah, I got a reminder and yesterday, And so immediately jumped on there and sent notices out to all of my club presidents and as you say, membership chairs where I know them in DAC-DB.
Well, these meetings are not open just to those people. These meetings are totally open. You don't even have to be a club officer. You don't have to make a reservation. You don't have to stay for the whole meeting if
Sure.
you don't have time. I know people are busy, so whatever,
Well,
anybody that's interested in membership is welcome.
Yeah, today's topic is just of particular interest to the Greater Albany Rotary Club right now. We've been having this discussion for a while, so
Yeah, I've seen mentorship go
yeah.
both ways.
It's something I never heard of when I joined Rotary in '87. So it's all
I joined another group not too recently, fairly recently. And my mentor, the first thing my mentor did for me as a new member was tell me how to recruit more members.
I love it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but what's in it for me? You know, why did I join? So we're going to talk about that what's in it for me piece a little bit. Let's see, I'm going to give it 3 more minutes and then we'll get started.
Well, Christina, I want to thank you for your help regarding the satellite club.
Well, you know, I'm going to poll you at the end of this session and ask you about meeting topics for next year. And hopefully they won't all be COVID related. You know, maybe we're going to get out of this tunnel. But satellites is one of the options because I'm getting other questions about it. In fact, as soon as I'm not president anymore, I'm going to get back on our own membership committee and get back to, I had an after hours satellite all set up. I had 5 people join and I was all ready to go. And then COVID hit and the whole thing went down the tubes and 4 of those members left the club because they really wanted to be in an after hours club. And anyway, so I'm going to try to pick up the pieces and run with it. I have 1 member left, so I'm going to start with her.
One's better than none.
Yeah. But let's see.
Well, we got ours.
Did you get it?
Yes.
Now you were looking to convert a club
Right.
to a satellite and that worked
Right.
out?
They're doing the paperwork. Yep.
Great.
And you and the Julie was very helpful,
Good.
and she turned me on to some zone people. And
Well, Mimi, when it comes time, assuming somebody wants to talk about satellites, I will probably have you cover the part about converting a struggling, failing club to a satellite, because I know nothing about that. And I can cover the how to start a new satellite part. But, you know, there's a need for both.
I don't know that I'd be of much help, but
But by then you'll know.
by then, yeah. Once,
Yeah, this is
once it all
next year. It might be
transpires.
2 or 3 months from now. We'll go by the order of the priorities that you guys give us. So
Okay.
who knows when it'll be? Maybe nobody will care. And if that's the case, then we won't worry about it.
Well,
Let's
I
see.
just
Hi,
think-
Bev. I'm glad to see you made it. And Patty's here. You're having coffee too, it looks like. Ah, me too. I'm not alone. Jerry's here. Jerry, I just recorded my video this morning for you. I've got to look at it and see if I like it.
Oh, it'll be great. And
You wouldn't
I look
believe
forward to seeing
if
it.
I know I'm being videoed, then I can trip over any word I try to say. Let's see, Don, nice to see you here from the hot sunny weather down south. And Jill, I always have to stop and think of your name because Butko is not your name. You forcing me to remember. Oh, so difficult. And Daniel Reese is here. Welcome, Daniel. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and get started. let's, Mimi, would you mind watching if any other are you signed in as a host? No, Jerry is.
Yeah, I came in the back door, so.
Okay, would you mind watching if more participants show and they're in the waiting room
Sure.
to let them in?
Beware of those coming in the back door.
That's right. Mimi's done that too.
Yeah, I couldn't find your link and I used the old link that was in my calendar and so that didn't work. So I
Really?
said,
It's the
Yeah.
same link every month.
yeah, it
And
just
it's
wouldn't
the
let me
same
in.
month, it's the same link going into next year, just as an
Okay.
FYI. You put it the third Tuesdays, 10 o'clock in the morning, same link.
Okay.
Come if you can, or send someone if you can. Okay, let's see. I've got to share my screen. I don't need this. I'm going to get us started with a conversation and we're going to see what you have to offer. One of the things I was telling Jerry on my video was about being in district leadership is leaders used to be a font of wisdom. I love leadership these days because I don't have to be a font of diddly squat. You guys are the font of wisdom, and us sharing our ideas and our successes and our challenges is where we all grow. So I'm excited to do that, but I still have to get this slideshow up. Okay, now share my.
That's what I always say. All of us are smarter than any one of us.
Isn't that true? Okay. Now, can you see that? Oh, you're not supposed to see that. Don't look. View slideshow from the beginning. Oh, man. Never mind.
Have we peaked yet? Couldn't resist that.
Now, how do I get out of here? I had this all figured out, you guys. Okay, forget it. Escape out of there. Okay, now, are we having fun yet? Okay, share the screen, like so. And share it. And get over there. Now can you see it? Give me a nod. Thank you, Joe.
Yes.
Good.
Bail me out, please. So we're going to talk about mentorship done right, because from what I've heard from clubs and other clubs outside of our district, there's a lot of ways to do mentorship wrong. And so between us all, we have checked all of those out and we can share what's worked, what hasn't worked, and what we can do about it, more importantly, going forward. So that's what we're going to do, is focus on mentorship today. This is a paraphrase off of something I tell my business clients. I use the word employees. I say employees are your most valuable and expensive asset. But in this case, I'm saying members are our most valuable and most misunderstood assets. We think we understand them, but do we? And we really need to, right? When we think about growing Rotary, we often think about what's in it for me. But often when I see articles about growing Rotary, it's all about what's in it for Rotary. And there's a lot of things that's in it for Rotary. There's volunteers, we need more members so we can get volunteers. We need more members so we can get donors. We need more members so we can grow our club. And of course, Rotary International wants to grow too. So we recruit members, and I hate that word because it sounds like the Army. We need boots on the ground. That's all we care about. The Army needs more fighters. Well, that doesn't answer the question that what's in it for the members. And so because we don't often answer that question, either in our outward facing marketing, in our inward thoughts and approach, the members pick that up. So they leave. And why do they leave? Well, the number one reason supposedly is expense and time. You know, it's expensive and it costs them time. And those are true. And a mentor isn't really going to change the dues or change how much time is involved. So that we can't really, we can acknowledge it. Everybody can't afford and doesn't have the time to be in Rotary. But the next two things are things that we can do something about. The club environment is the second reason that people leave. They don't mesh with it somehow. They don't feel connected to it somehow. And the third reason is unmet expectations. And that's a biggie. We're going to focus on that a little bit more. But let's look at the club environment. We have a lot of ways that we can alienate our members. I mean, we just line them up. I thought of 4, but see if you can think of some more. How much jargon does Rotary have? You know, alphabet soup. We got 4-way tests. We got the 5 avenues of service, or is it the 7? And we got the 7 areas of focus, or is it 5? And we got the 3 something or other else. To a new member, this is just like, you know, it's very off-putting. It's, you know, if you don't understand what it's about, then you shut down. You don't feel engaged or involved. There's a lot of rituals to Rotary meetings that can alienate some people. And everything from ringing the bell to perfect attendance to some of the awards that we give and things that we do that aren't understood by our new members. And so they feel out of it. They don't feel like they're part of the club. And then, of course, try as we might, we still have our cliques in Rotary. You know, that one video that they did about we really welcoming. And that still happens. We all laugh at that video and it still happens. But certain people still sit together and, you know, because they want to, they're friends. But that still goes on, and that is alienating to our new members. And the third thing is, or the fourth thing is, some clubs are more religious than others. And I know when I was the president of the Newport Club, I was the first woman president, so 3 people quit just because of that. But then I had the audacity to change the prayer. I changed the prayer because we had 3 Jewish people in our club, and one of them came up and said, you know, some of us don't really get into the in Jesus' name stuff, you know. And I had to agree with him. So I asked that we just drop the in Jesus' name and then pulled in some of the Jewish people to say their prayers and try to make it as non-denominational and open and inclusive as possible. And we lost 1 more member over that. But we have to think of who our audience is. And if we're trying to grow demographically, we have to think even broader than that. Are we alienating people? Because if we are as a club, there's nothing a mentor can do about that except maybe explain the jargon, explain the ritual, and explain why the cliques are all sitting over there. Any comments about that? I want to stop right there for a second. Anything you've noticed?
Well, I would just talk about, you know, a lot of clubs will start with an invocation, and you can start with an inspiration and allowing
Yes.
people to have their inspiration wherever they get inspired. So if a person gets inspired through a religious connection, that's okay, because that's their inspiration and it's not the Rotary
For that
inspiration,
week.
but right. So people can take turns. But anyway, that really worked with a couple clubs I've been working with, and it changed the culture.
That's true in our club. We do a weekly inspiration. Somebody different does it. But, you know, I make up a lot of clubs in our district and across the country, and we don't all do that. And I think that's a good way to keep it inclusive for everybody. is that everybody can be involved. But if we're very Christian or very Jewish or very anything that's one-sided, we are excluding some people. So we need to realize. Anybody else, just talk, because I can only see 5 of you.
I would say that with our club, one of the things that we worked on this year is we at Christmas did a Christmas thing. We did something special for Hanukkah. And then most recently, we at least discussed the Muslim religion and their biggest holiday, which is the first day after Ramadan, just to talk about the fact that we are a global organization with numerous religions.
I like that, Dawn. I'm writing that one down. We changed our Christmas social to a holiday social. That's about as far as we've gotten, but we could do better. Anyone else?
Well, I would just say one of our core values is diversity. And I would ask people if they have, just to have a conversation about this, how does this lend itself to being a diverse club? Or how does this attract diverse members? So those are a couple ways
I
you can
heard
just
a
have a
program that
conversation.
I'm going to suggest bringing to this group, by a guy that's a fellow, I think, at Johns Hopkins University, and he did a program at Latino Professionals Connect here in Eugene about diversity. And I've been to a lot of diversity programs, but his was based on science. What happens in the brain when we're shut out? What happens in the brain when we feel included? And how vastly different the results could be to our Rotary clubs if we take those things into account. You know, anyway, I'm really interested. Does that sound like anything interesting to you guys? I see a couple nods, and hopefully,
Yes.
I have diversity, equity, and inclusion on my poll at the end. And so if that's something you're interested, I might get him. He's Mexican Indian. And so he brings in a lot of his native language into his program in a way that you can still understand the whole thing. He's just fabulous. As soon as I saw him, I went, oh, we got to get him for something in our district. And I thought membership was the perfect thing. Okay, so. Uh-oh, can you see the top of that?
Yes.
Marginal, mediocre mentoring.
Okay, good. Mine's blocked off by my mute stop video. This is out of a Harvard Business Review article last summer, and I had picked it up somewhere along the line, and I thought, this could be applying to Rotary too. We feel people, and I've been in a club that's guilty of this, so I'm not going to say we like I'm including you guys, but sometimes I've seen us find mentors because they had a pulse. We match them up with a new member because that new member needs mentoring, and they're not really competent in the role, and sometimes they're randomly selected, and then we don't give them any resources to evaluate or reward themselves on how they're doing. So that's kind of how not to do it. And if we're doing it that way, we need to kind of open up about that, look at it. So we assign mentors and think that's going to be the solution to the problem. But is it? Not, it depends on how we do it. The thing about mentors is how we select them. And our club has some trouble with this because I ask who wants to be a mentor and everybody in their shoes. But how we select them, what kind of personalities do they have? And then how do we match them with a new member? If a new member is sort of a shy, introverted type, do we put this outgoing, boisterous, loves to hug everybody mentor with that person? Or do we find somebody that's a little more attuned to their feelings and match them that way? What kind of training do we give our mentors? Do we tell them what a mentor means, And then most importantly is what kind of rewards do we give them? What's in it for the mentor?
What does mentors mean as it relates to membership in our club?
I've got a slide about that, and I threw just a bunch of word soup up on that slide because a lot of times I've seen in Rotary mentoring guides, I've heard things like acquaint them with the foundation so they can know where to donate, or tell them how the committees are so they can be put on a committee. We don't want to put them on a committee. We want to invite them. We want to find out what they want to do. And let's get back to that, because really it's all about what's in it for the member. You guys understand the what's in it for me, WIIFM thing. What's in it? We know what's in it for Rotary to get members, but what's in it for the member? When we're recruiting a member, what's in it for the member? You know, if we're even using the word recruiting, what's in it for the member? Oh, we get a new member. Woohoo! What's in it for the member? The member needs to feel something's in it for them. And that's really important. And that's partially our job as leaders, and it's partially the mentor's job to help show them that. This is the most important thing you need to know about a new member. If you write one thing down this whole session, this is it. What do you expect out of Rotary? You know, every member that joins our clubs has a different expectation. Some expect to spend 2 hours a month. Some expect to put in 3-4 hours a week. You know, some want to build friendships. Some don't care about your socials, but they want to build a network. Some want to encourage their kids to join in. Some don't have kids and the grandkids are across the country. So every member that comes in has a different expectation. And that should be the first thing the mentor finds out. What is the expectation? Now, when you ask somebody what they expect, they might be a little lost for words. So it takes some exploring to find out, what do they want? Because if we're not giving them what they want, you know how long it'll take them to leave? Studies show that we lose most of our people that leave in the first year. And then in the first few years, the next most people leave. Oh, there's my slide. Can you see all those things up on top? I put ask at the very top. The most important role of a mentor is to ask, not to tell, but to ask. How are you doing? How do you feel? Can I help? And then shut up and listen. Because sometimes when we ask and we hear just a little bit of the problem, we want to jump in as a mentor and be that font of wisdom. It's kind of that old leadership style that still hangs on. We want to be a resource, but we want them to want that resource. So by flooding them with an information about everything they need to know about Rotary, it's a turnoff. We need to find out what they want to know about Rotary and then give them that information. Eventually, they'll want to know everything we want to tell them, but let them kind of set that pace based on their style, their personality. Accompany them. Some people like me, when I joined Rotary, I could care less about a mentor. Just get out of my way. I'm going to go get involved. I'm going to do what I think I need to do, and I don't need any help, or I'll go ask anybody. You know, I don't need a mentor person. But a lot of people do. A lot of people are a little more reticent to jump in. And this is the difference between an extreme outgoing personality, like I guess I am, hate to admit it, but there I go, and reserved one. So a reserved one needs a little more hand holding, not literally, but figuratively. And they need us to accompany them to some of the events or to the meetings, and to sit with them and to introduce them to other members, and go over and bust through that circle at that one table where all those same old people are there. Introduce them to those people and let them know Joe used to be the newspaper editor, and Harry over here, he works at a funeral home. So tell them, not say, hey, that's Joe and that's Bob. Tell them something that if they want to build a network, they can start to do that. Guide them through the processes. If you have a red badge program, help guide them through that. Some people are not that motivated by becoming a blue badge. Shock of shocks. We have some people in our club that have been blue badges for 2 years, including our membership director. Can you believe it? The motivation's not there. You want to champion this person. You want to be their cheerleader to the rest of the club. These are things a mentor can do to make them feel included. And included and involved are the two big things. When I think of engaging members, we want to involve them and include them. If they feel included and involved, then they feel like they're part of, and not just a wheel, like an engagement, like a transmission that helps move the motor of Rotary. We want them to be part of the club. It's their club. We want to share with them things that are going on. When Susie Q gets up and drones on and on about polio plus, say, and we can share, well, Susie Q's really into this because her mom had polio. We can give them some of that inside information to make them feel like they know the people of our club. And we want to be their friend. So Mimi, does that answer some of your questions about a small, short list of things that the mentor can do? And nowhere did I say sell Rotary, sell our projects, poke them on a committee. It's just like, let them involve themselves at their pace, but be there to do these things for them.
This is huge. Thank you, Christine, because it surely defines the membership, the mentorship, I mean. So thank you.
Before we break into discussions, because I really want to do that. Who's responsible for it? I noticed when I came to Southtown, I'm telling tales, nobody's from Southtown is here. Hey, we don't have anybody waiting to get in, do we? Has anybody checked that?
I can't.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna have to fire my waiting room attendant. Mitch Allen's been out there for a while. Okay, let's see, is that blocking my slide? There. Whose job is to do the mentoring, and whose responsibility is it to the new member? When I got to Southtown, I said, oh, don't worry, I heard, don't worry, we have a mentorship program, so we're going to mentor you. And then I heard one of the mentors tell another person, well, that's not my job, that's the sponsor's job. And then I heard somebody else say, oh, well, the board always calls the new members and they do it. And what about the club members? What about those guys that are sitting in that circle? Where's their responsibility in this thing? Whose job is it to involve and encourage our new members? One problem with having a mentorship job is that everybody else washes their hands. Not my job. Oh, I hate that. Every time I hear I hate that in customer service, that's not my job. It's just, it tells new people that whoever's really doing it doesn't really care about me. And that's not what we want them to think. So then the final thing that I had back up on the slide about the Harvard Business Review's quote is how we reward mentoring. And is there a way, and this I want to put to you when we're discussing this, is there a way to get everyone involved in our mentoring program? Is there a way that we can make everyone feel part of that process and an important part of that process, and that the successful of the club is their success? One thing that Newport used to do, and that was my other club before I was at Southtown, and I'm not sure that it's the answer, but I just say it to pique an idea. They gave the new member a roster, and everybody's job was to go up and introduce themselves to that new member and sign their name on top of their part of the roster. And I thought, well, that was kind of cool. But you know what ended up happening? People would go, "Hi, I'm Joe. Can I sign your roster?" That's not exactly what we were trying to go for here. So I want to break you into some discussion groups, and I want you to talk about, because we're going to spend a lot of time talking about your viewpoints. You can talk about your challenges, your successes, and your ideas for mentorship. But also, let's pull the word reward in there. Let's get everybody excited about our new members, and how are we involving them, and how are we encouraging them to stay. So I'm going to stop my share. Oh, there you all are. And yes, you're all here. Nobody's in the waiting room. Breakout rooms. Let's see. I'm going to do 3 breakout rooms. And I'm going to assign it automatically. So I'm going to give you about 10, no, I'm going to give you 15 minutes. When you get together, I want you to ask one person very nicely to be the reporter, so that when we come back, we can hear what y'all had to say, okay? But think about mentorship. Think about all the slides I showed, how we assign them, how we match them, how we reward them, how do we train them? What has worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? What kind of harebrained ideas did you get out of this meeting? And how might we reward people so everybody's excited in getting new members? Okay, so there you go. Who knows where you end up, but I'll see you in 15. Brian, did you see that you can join the room number 2? There you go. Yeah. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Did you get some ideas?
yes. All kinds of good ones.
I want to hear. Whoops. Oh, darn. Where'd you go? Okay. Whew. Thought I lost you. I did that once in our meeting. I had breakout rooms, and instead of closing the breakout rooms, I closed the meeting. Oops. I need supervision. Okay. Who was in room number 1 and the leader?
I was in room number 1, and I was decided to be the recorder.
Yeah, I heard something about you were the one that spoke up first, so you got elected.
Yeah, I got elected.
So what did you guys talk about and what did you get out of it?
We talked about a lot. One of the things was Jerry's idea was everyone bring one kind of idea, and like the president's is it the incoming president, Jerry?
Yeah, Shaker Metar, the new Rotary International president, that's
Yeah.
his, everyone bring one, right?
Yeah, but his instead of everyone support one is a type of thing that he's thinking.
Oh.
Like every member should have somebody that they're supporting or partnering with. And we talked about instead of necessarily a mentor, it's more of maybe it could be a partnership, because our new vibrant members are so full of information. They can pretty much tell us sometimes, like the reverse mentorship that was talked about at the district training.
Yeah.
They can help us along too. And then we talked about a contest. Well, that was for new members, but it could be the same thing, a contest. Jerry talked about a contest for bringing in a new member or some kind of raffle, and initiating like a trip to the Houston event that's going on. They could get their names in a raffle if they bring a new member, or we could even morph it into some kind of support thing. And everybody's we in our club, our membership committee are the ones that are the mentors or the blue badge buddies, and we sort of discussed maybe opening that up to everybody in the club can be a member or a mentor, because you have a small pool. We only have 7 in the membership committee for our 65 members. And then Daniel does it at his club. The club board discusses who might be a good fit for their new members, and then they ask that person if they would like to be a mentor for that person. And
Good.
and I think that's the basics of our.
Well, that's some good discussion, and I like a couple ideas I heard out of that I wrote down. How about group number 2 in room number 2? Who was the spokesmodel?
Patty was our spokesmodel.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what room we were in. So we talked about mentoring, and we believe it's important, and we think that the sponsor should take some responsibility for doing more than just rounding them up and bringing them and shepherding them to membership and then kind of dumping them. That it should be an ongoing relationship, like a marriage, where you're both engaged, and that the sponsor take some responsibility for, making sure that they get engaged, that they understand the projects, that they actively say, hey, I'm going to go to whatever project, and try to get them to come along and keep them engaged that way. But even with trying to engage the sponsor more, you still need to train the sponsor on what do they really do? What is a mentor? And what does that mean? And what is the expectation? And then there's other people who felt like having the sponsor plus somebody else is a good idea too. That to kind of maybe more than one person in the mentoring pool.
Hmm.
And then we talked about a bunch of other stuff too, but.
I like the
Did I miss
idea.
anything?
I like the idea of making the sponsor a little bit more responsible. You know, we don't do that. The sponsor, I mean, Patty used the phrase of just bringing them in and dumping them off. And kind of that's what our sponsors do. And I think there should, you know, they have the relationship with the person. They should have a little bit, but maybe they're not trained and maybe they don't have time or maybe this and maybe that. So that, you know, they might need backup, but having them have some responsibility just makes sense. Let's see. Thank you for that, Patty. How about group number 3, which is the last group that I haven't called on yet? Brian just put himself on mute there by telling me it's not me that's talking. Who is? Who is in the last group? Who hasn't spoken yet?
Go for it, Joe.
Well, I thought Mimi was in charge. Yeah, that person. I did not take notes, but I remember that we had some very good conversation. I think one of the things that just stuck in my mind was that if we don't want anything to change, don't do anything differently. But if all we do is just change the title of the person who's leading the new member, and instead of calling them sponsor, calling them a mentor, nothing's going to change. So there has to be buy-in by the club. All of the club members have to understand that we're going to have a new system. And if we're going to have a mentorship system, we have to really give recognition to those people who are going to be the mentors, reward them, I think, in some way, so that they feel valued. And we need to be very, very clear about exactly what are going to be the duties of the mentor. So if it's written down, if someone is actively being and recognized as and rewarded for being a mentor, that'll probably help it be more successful. Let's see, and Mimi and Sherry, jump in here if I'm forgetting anything. I think we talked about different ways to go about it, like assigning it to past club presidents. And I don't think that's a recipe for success, because the past presidents may not have the attitude or the time schedule to do it. So picking someone to be a mentor, as I said in the beginning, just calling the sponsor a mentor is not going to change anything. Go ahead, Mimi.
Rather than past presidents, what I had suggested is, as an idea, is that the club president should, separate from the mentor, should meet with the new member after maybe their second meeting, after they've been inducted, and just sit down with them and ask them how they're doing, and that, you know, if they have any questions, that they can reach out to their sponsor, but also to the president, and just make them feel really welcome and comfortable, ask them what their passion is and what clubs they might want to get involved in. And then another idea I had that, well, that I think goes without saying, mention it in the, we ran out of time, but I think what's really important is that when we have a new member, that someone's there to sit with them when they come to meetings and stuff. So they're not kind of like all of a sudden, by themselves or stuck in a group that's very cliquish, that sponsor or the mentor or both sit with them and introduce them to other members.
Good stuff, you guys. Bev Walker also put in the chat that rewarding is very important. The things that I think I got out of this in my learning day was that training them, what does it mean? What do we do with our new members? What, you know, and keeping that in front of them. The president can do that to remind people, you know, for a minute during the meeting that, hey, we've got this. If you haven't met these people, go over and say hi. It's a little tougher with Zoom, but hey, we're pulling out of that tunnel. And then rewarding them, finding fun ways to let them, you know, after their mentee has been in the club a year, that's like a whoo-hoo, you know, we made it this far. You know, that's a big hurdle that a lot of members leave then during that first year. And so, you know, making those milestones more celebrated. So, but keeping it in everybody's mind. I want to take the last 2 minutes and poll you and ask you your opinions on upcoming. I'm logged in. No, don't tell me that. What do you mean it's inactive? Ooh, that ticks me off. Well, I might have to poll you next month. That sucks. I guess it's not going to. What do you guys want to talk about next week or next month? Just throw some ideas out at me and I'll come up with something. Joe.
Well, I've always got a suggestion, Christine. One of the things I'd like for us to talk about is who's making up the membership committee. And I want to tell you, I got to mention this guy's name, Marv Kaplan, who I think is at the Redmond Club.
Yes.
I mentioned to my breakout group that I'd been thinking about working on mentorship for the last year or longer. And we've had a lot of little issues with how to go about it and what might be problematic for us in my particular club. But I talked to Marv Kaplan as part of that research, and man, that club is all over mentorship. He sent me several PDF files that explain all of the different aspects of their mentorship program. And that club has got, they are by far the best club in the district that I know of when it comes to being approaching mentorship in an organized way.
I'll get a hold of Marv and try to get a hold of those documents and forward them out, because tomorrow, the day after these forums, I always send you the YouTube video. So I send everybody the YouTube video in case you missed it or want to review it. And any documents, I'll send you my slideshow. But if I can get Marv to send over his what they do, that's always worth sharing. That's the value of these forums, is learning from each other.
Yeah. Well,
and I like the idea. I'm just going to run with that, Joe, of who makes up your membership committee. We have an engagement committee at Southtown, and sometimes I've called it the unengaged engagement committee. Not something I'm proud of, but I share in this group, you know, that we can't just have 1 or 2 people in membership. It's a bigger deal than that. It's a bigger responsibility. And the more people that are actively responsible or engaged or involved in that, the better. Dawn, did you want to say something? You're putting your hands up like this. Okay.
No.
All right, well, I'm going to close the meeting. It's been wonderful to talk to you guys, and another month will go by before you know it, and we'll be talking about how what does your membership committee look like, and what can we learn from each other there? That ought to be fun. Okay, so we'll see you then, and then I will hopefully have my poll working by then. Bye.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Christine.
Bye.